Hey, Drive MIGZ here, and I'm with Jake Kaywell.
Yes, that is exactly it. It's
Jake,
a pleasure to meet you, sir.
Thank you so much for spending time with us today and showing us your, is it
1962 Studebaker Gran Turismo Hawk. A very lovely thing indeed.
I see these all around town every time I go to Walmart to shop.
Oh,
they're
yeah,
like,
totally.
They're
That's
like
exactly
right in
what's going on here.
This is the most unusual car I've ever seen. It's pretty cool, too, actually.
So this was designed way back in the heady days in 1961, right? Studebaker is approaching a critical mass. They're melting down and melting down quick. So then President Sherwood H. Egbert approached a man named Brooke Stevens, the famed Milwaukee industrial-based designer, and basically said, hey man, we need new cars and we need them right this minute. So we went ahead and did that. In a month's time, the old Hawk was redesigned into the beautiful Sylvette shape that you see today, all for the price of $3.5 million, which honestly is not that much to redesign an entire car. And even though it did help things, sales increased from 3,600 units roughly in 61 to 9,300 units right behind me in 62. Things didn't go well. After December 20th, 1963, the South Bend plant in Indiana was shut down, and things had forever changed for not only the Midwest, but America and the world.
So how much would a car like this cost someone brand new in the day?
If you were a prospective buyer of a Studebaker Gran Turismo Hawk, it would have cost you all of $3,095, not including dealership fees or anything else. It's worth mentioning that the only other comparable competition of this car, the 62 Ford Thunderbird, costs $1,300 more than this. And that's not chump change in 1962, believe me.
Well, now let's take a look at the car.
Absolutely. This right here is the 1962 Studebaker in question. Right here is the twin traction emblem. You might think that it's based off of Audi, but no. This is a limited slip differential system originally designed by Packard in 1956. When Packard decided to fold in 1958, Studebaker acquired the rights to use it, and it happened in the rest of production. These wheel covers, for instance, are also the same stampings as those used on checker cabs. Yes, Studebaker really was that desperate. You might have noticed the Thunderbird-style roof that I mentioned earlier. Brooke Stevens designed this, actually, based off of a concept car in 1958 called the Gaylord Gladiator. Yeah, don't laugh at the name. It was so expensive, the only person who can afford it was Princess Diane. But as a result, we got this absolutely lovely bit of window trim, as well as this seam along the middle, which was actually called the earmuff effect. It allowed for a vinyl roof option to be added from this point forward. And that is filled in with lead, so I better not get into an accident. As for the interior, you might notice that this has a very driver-centric gauge cluster there. The wood is not real, obviously. No trees were harmed in the making of this car. And the horn, as you can hear, is a standard Delco unit. And that is the factory air conditioning in there. As you can see from the chrome shift handle, that is a Borg-Warner T10 4-speed manual, the same as was used in Corvettes of the period. If we slink our way around to the front, you can see this fender vent. There is a lever inside the car that, if you open it, the panel will actually move this way in order to direct as much air as possible into the interior. This was carried over from the original 1953 Loewe Coupe that this was based off of. Yeah, this was a long-in-the-tooth design, but the Loewe Coupe was so radical that it actually worked. The only bad thing is rust, and lots of it. Not this example, though. And as you can see, in order to make it more updated, a vertical radiator grille had to be installed, as well as the bumper. That design had to be changed as well. Under the hood, if I may, after that brief little intermission, you can see the original Studebaker 289 cubic inch V8. This engine is in no way, shape, or form similar to the Ford 289 apart from cubic displacement, and it is largely based off of the 1949 Cadillac overhead valve V8 mechanically. Cadillac actually sued Studebaker in court, but lost due to certain patent infringements. So, lucky Studebaker. This is powered by a Carter 4-barrel carburetor mounted there that allows the total horsepower to be 225 Civil War era horses. So this is a rip-roaring example indeed. That right there is a York 2-barrel AC compressor. And notice how massive it is relative to the engine. That was 1960s technology, so we got to deal with it, basically. If we slink on over to the other side, you can see the original generator to the car. I had rebuilt it myself over the last month, and as you can see, it's an Autolite tag made in Toledo, Ohio. If we can point out to this fender spear here, that was a design added by Brooks Stevens in order to give a neoclassical feel to the cars. A popular modification among people who own GT Hawks is to actually string lights under here in order to work as directional signals. But I personally don't like that, so this is purely stock. This car, by the way, is horrible to stop on account of it having drum brakes all the way around. So I replaced the fronts to discs using a factory conversion kit made by Turner Disc Brakes. And now let us go ahead and slink on over to the rear of the car, where we can see this grille applique. This actually was made in order to cover up the original 56 to 61 stamping. And underneath here it's just a bare, flat panel, because Studebaker couldn't afford to actually smooth it out. As a matter of fact, due to all of the modifications that Brooks Stevens made, it actually cost the Studebaker Corporation $28 less per car to manufacture than the previous generation. So you can be rest assured that the shareholders and the buying public were pleased about that. Anyway, after that string of words came out of my mouth, I am pleased to say that I am done. I am dying for a drink of water. And I have to thank my host here behind the camera. This is Jay Kaywell signing off.